All right, everyone. It took some technical difficulties on Facebook Live and Instagram Live, but that is not going to stop us. Steph and I are here. I'm so excited that Steph is joining me today. If you don't know who I am Amanda, and I am a health and fitness influencer. And I believe that we as women, as moms, can create joy and positive energy and positive lifestyles for ourselves just by creating simple and easy routines that we can implement in everyday life. And so right now, if you're watching this video right now, you are stuck right in the middle, just like Steph and I are, of this COVID-19 crisis. And you may be feeling very overwhelmed. You may be feeling very stuck and very stressed. And so Steph reached out to me, and we've been following each other for quite a while over on Instagram. And she's incredible. And she is a powerhouse. You know, you have to go follow her on social media so that you can hear her full story. But she is a visionary. She is an entrepreneur. She teaches master classes. And she was like, hey, I have these tips that I think will really help your following, really help your audience. And I would love to share. And I'm always down for positivity, for health, overall health. And so I was like, come on and bring it. So I'm just going to shut my lips. I'm going to mute myself, and I'm going to pass it over to Steph. So Steph, before you go into your tips, will you kind of give just a really quick overview of why you came up with these tips, maybe things that you're seeing in your life as you go through this COVID crisis?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that amazing welcome. Hi, everybody. Just so grateful to be here and excited to share with you the tips that I'm going to talk to you about. So yeah, as Amanda said, I am a business owner or entrepreneur, and I have been for a couple of years now. And I also home educate my two children who are 6 and 4. So I have been used to having my children at home whilst trying to run a business. And I'm sure that you all know the juggle that's going on at the moment. And that's why I put this course together and why I reached out to Amanda, because I feel like there's things that I have learned through this 2 years I could share with you guys that will just make this process as easy as possible, but not just easy, but so you can actually come out of it feeling stronger and more connected to each other. So that's really important to me. So yeah, shall I get straight on with the tips? Yeah. So the tips that I'm going to go through with you, they are a strong foundation and I have found really help. So it isn't just things to do with your family. For me, everything always comes back to ourselves. So what we're going to start off with is talking to you. So when I do work with clients, everything always comes back to how you feel, what's going on in your heart, how you're connected with yourself and your wider purpose. And I know Amanda talks loads about connecting with yourself and feeding yourself the fuel that you need to be the best person you can be. And that's really important. And that's the first tip, really. So you're in this situation that none of us could have predicted. You've got your children at home, you know, there's everything going on that you normally have to deal with, and then we've got this situation plus your children at home. And you know, I've been there myself, and you know, especially now, it can get difficult. So the first tip that I would give you is just to find a little bit of time for yourself and just check in with yourself and give yourself love. And that's always the message that I send to people, is show yourself love and ask yourself how you're doing. I think as women, as mums, we just tend to plow on through, you know, we've got to get through this, we've got all these responsibilities, but actually it's really important to just take a breath. See how you're doing. And it may be that you're holding everything together and that breath brings up some feelings of upset or anger or grief. And that's good, you know, that's perfect. That's what you want to do. This whole process that I'm going to talk you through is about really tuning into how you're feeling and not ignoring those feelings, because when we ignore them, that's when we run into difficulties. But when we acknowledge them, we can start dealing with them. So just check in with yourself. See how you're doing, what things are coming up for you, because when you can process those feelings for yourself, you can provide a really strong foundation for the rest of your family. So that's my first tip. Check in with yourself, see how you're doing. In fact, you're going to get more than 4 tips, but under 4 headings. The first one is connection with yourself, check in with yourself. And then when you've done that, ask yourself, what are you worried about? So often when we're feeling overwhelmed, it's because we've got a lot of stuff going on in our head that we're worried about, we've got fears. By actually facing up to them and writing them down, it gives us the opportunity to sort them into two piles. So you will find that you've got a list of fears that are things that you can control, which is brilliant, because then you can start putting a plan into place to get control of those. And then you will have a list of worries and fears that you cannot control. And with that list, we are just going to cross through them and ignore them, because we do not want to spend any time worrying about the things that we cannot control. All you can control is your thoughts and your mind. You know, we've got this crisis going on at the moment. There will be other things in the future that come up. And that's what I always say to my clients, the only thing you can control is you. And when you've got a really strong, solid foundation, you can handle anything that comes to you. And yeah, no one could have foreseen what we're dealing with now, but this is a perfect time to build that strong foundation so that it will see you through this situation and any other situation that comes up in the future. So write down those lists, you know, things that you can control, and write a plan of how you will tackle them. And the things that you cannot control, you are going to put to one side and stop worrying about them. So that's the first thing, connection with yourself.
Love that, Steph. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I love that so much, because I think that right now, especially as moms, especially as women, we like to try to control things. I know that's a big thing for me, is when I feel out of control, I try to grab the reins even tighter, and I tend to grab the reins on the things that are out of my control, and I feel like that makes me spiral more. So I really like that you said focus on the things that you can control right now, like your mindset. You know, obviously I would tell people focus on your health, focus on your fitness, spending time with your kids, and, you know, embracing that time, but letting go of the things that we can't control. We can't control losing jobs right now. We can't control, you know, being quarantined and things like that. So I just thank you for that, because that really resonated with me personally. So thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well, that leads me on to the next thing that I was going to talk about. So once we have dealt with those fears, what we're going to do is think about what we want to achieve during this period of time. So visions and goals. And this ties into yourself, and then we're going to lead it onto the family. But for now, just thinking about yourself, what is important to you right now? And if you think ahead, I know none of us know how long this period is going to last, but what would it feel good to you at the end of this period to have achieved? So things like looking after your health. Like, I know when I'm not drinking enough water, when I'm eating rubbish food, when I'm not exercising, I cannot show up for myself, for my family, for my business in the way that I want to. So I call it the health cube. So it's sleep, water, food, and nature exercise if you can get outside. And having, again, that strong foundation, those 4 things, making sure that you are making a time. Because when I think back to times where I've struggled, and in the past, and if you do check out my story, I've had anxiety and panic attacks, it is when I haven't looked after myself first. And I know that Amanda will agree with this, that, you know, you have to put your oxygen mask on first. You have to look after yourself first. So making sure that I've got those 4 things in place. But also for me, I need mental time alone, like without people asking me questions. So creating space and time for quiet is really important to me. And I used to say that I wasn't a morning person, and actually I now realize I wasn't a morning person when I wasn't happy with my life. And it's kind of like a chicken and egg, but once I started saying, you know what, for my mental health, I have to get up early, and I have to create some time to meditate and journal, and do a little bit of exercise. That is when my life started to change, the direction I was going in. So think about your vision and goals. What do you want for you? What do you need for you? You know, voicing that. And then what do you want for your family? So for me, when I'm talking to people, I always talk about connection to yourself and connection to your family and your children. And what does that look like to your family? Like, that looks like something different for every family. And a really important thing that I want to stress is, please do not put extra pressure on yourself. Seeing like amazing things on Facebook that mums are doing with their children, you know, from Pinterest and activities. And if you love doing that, fantastic, keep doing it. But if you are not naturally that kind of person, if that is not something that you enjoy doing, please don't do it. Like, your children want you to show up as you, happy you, authentically you, the mum that they love. And that is about just grounding into what makes you you and the kind of mum that you want to be. And it's just focusing on that. So what does that look like? One thing that we've talked about is we're going to have a family board game every night, and that's been amazing, having the time to do that, but actually consciously making a choice. So those kind of bits make up the connection to you. And then the next heading that I talk to people about is connection with your family. So what does that look like to your family? And that exercise that you've just done about thinking about your own fears, have a chat with your family about that. So we have a weekly family meeting, and we've always done this. We don't do it religiously, but we do try to. And I would recommend, your children's lives have been turned upside down. They're used to going to school. They haven't got that structure anymore. You might be trying to work as well. So just giving them the space to talk about what's worrying them. Like all of us as humans, we love to be seen and heard. So giving them the opportunity to say to you, however old they are, my youngest is 4, but just even checking in with them, even if they're younger, and just saying, how you doing with everything? Like, how do you feel? Give them that chance to talk to you. And you are building trust and connection, and you are their safe space. So letting them have the opportunity to just speak to you and say what's going on. And then from there, you can build it up to talking about what they want to achieve during this period of time. So then you've got your things that you want to achieve, and then your things that you want to achieve as a family. And that gives you a real, goal to work towards, so that you are making sure that's a priority. And I know that when I'm working, I really try and have some connection time with them in the morning, and then some connection time in the evening, and it just sets us all up for a really good day, rather than in the past I have had times where I'm like, right, I've got all this stuff that I need to get on with, I can't even spend any time with you, and then they're stressed, I'm stressed, and it's just not a good start to the day. So that's what works for us, but you guys need to find out what works for you. So connection to the family. Oh yes, important one, connection to the body. So this is a lot about what I talk about. You'll hear mindset stuff a lot, and I know that Amanda talks about it as well, and it is so important to work on your mindset. But something that is overlooked is your body, your connection to your body. So we all hold memories and experiences in our body. And when we experience trauma, and it doesn't have to be trauma with a capital T, it can be trauma with a little t. Trauma is any time we abandon our authentic selves. And when that happens, our body goes into the flight, fight, or freeze response. So we can then be easily triggered back into that. And if you think what we're all going through at the moment, it is very likely we're all carrying around either low or high level anxiety. So things that you can do to move your body back into the parasympathetic nervous system, that is the relaxed, calm state that you want to be in. Just things like taking a nice, long, slow breath in. Breathing it out through the mouth, nice and slow. And by doing that a couple of times, it triggers your body to move back into that relaxed state. So if you're anything like me, when I'm with my children, if I'm feeling stressed, it feels like a red mist to me. That's the best way I can describe it. And I can feel it rising up and up and up. And by taking that breath, it helps me to bring it back down again. And that's what we want to do, because we've had to think about how we want to connect with our children. We want to be doing it from a place of calm and in control. And by taking that breath, it just allows you a few seconds to bring you from that point where, rather than shouting or crying or do whatever you do, when you look back and think, that's not quite how I wanted that to go. Breath brings your body down, so it reduces those adrenaline and stress levels. Another amazing thing that you can do, either on your own or with your family, just put a favourite song on and have a dance. So we hold energetic memory in our body. Things like shaking it out and also having a dance move that negative energy out of you. We are vibrational beings, and it's so good to just push that negative energy out, and it will raise you up and lift your energy and that of your children. So in a stressful moment, if I feel like things are, in your family can feel the tension building up, we'll either have a dance or we will go and have a pillow fight. And those things, getting the mood just helps to change the energy in ourselves, in our body, but also in the home. So that's really good. And then the fourth one is planning and organisation. So this is key. And often clients will say to me, oh, I'm not really a planner. I like to be free and easy. And what I would say is, by actually putting in some structure, it allows you more time to be creative and free. And for me, that's been a big shift. In some ways, I can be quite organised and I like to really control, like Amanda says, but in other ways, I'm not. But by putting structure in place and really prioritising what's important to me, it frees me up to be creative the rest of the time. So just having a look, having a brain dump of all the responsibilities you've got, seeing what you can share out between other family members if that's possible, and also then eliminating stuff. Like the situation we are in is unprecedented, so really seeing what your priorities are. And I know the times when I feel stressed is when I've got a massive list of things that are running around in my head. Even just writing your list down will make such a difference to how you feel, how in control you feel. Then you can have a look through, and what I say to people is move the urgent priorities onto one list, and everything else that is not urgent for this period in time, move on to another list. And when things get easier, you can pull that list back out. So you're not forgetting about them, you're not losing them, but we are saying they are not important to us right now. And what that does is it mentally frees you up to concentrate on the important things. I've got a course I do, and I do talk through this in more detail. I've got something called the pedal method that talks you through kind of prioritizing, delegating, eliminating, just letting go of things that are not important. Because right now, having that connection with yourself, having connection with your family, and putting boundaries in place that you can do the work that you need to do or get done the responsibilities within the household, that's all that matters now. And your children will come out of this period feeling, you want them to come out feeling really loved and connected. And that's why this time is really important to just prioritize and give yourself the best chance to really focus on what you need to do, what you need to have, what boundaries you need in place so you can show up for yourself, your family, and your other responsibilities in the way that you want to. So that's it, Amanda.
I love that. Thank you so much. Before we kind of like move on and log off, will you recap those 4 tips again? And then how can people find you? How can they read more about your story? How can they work with you if they're feeling stressed? How can they learn more about what you do? Will you share those 4 tips, and then how can we get in touch with you after this?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. So my 4 tips, just to recap: connection with yourself. So checking in with your fears, what's going on for you, making 2 lists, what you can control and make a plan for those, and then the things that you can't control, forgetting about them. Then you're going to move on to what you want to get out of this period. So what's important to you? What are your vision and goals for you and your family during this period of time? Then you're going to move on to your family. So speaking to them about their fears, helping them process what's going on, and then talking to them about visions and goals for you guys as a family. Like what would be amazing for you to do to connect with one another so that by the end of this period, you're feeling really strong and a strong family unit. And then thinking about your connection with your body. What do you need to do to let go of that negative energy that you're carrying around with you? Breathing, having it down, shaking it out, and bringing those tips into your family as well, because they are experiencing the same things. So just giving them the opportunity to get rid of that negative energy. And then planning and organisation, going through, prioritising, delegating. We've got more people at home. What can everyone help out with? And eliminating. Eliminate. Get rid of anything that isn't essential right now, so that you can really focus on your priorities, which is you, your family, and your essential responsibilities. And then, if you'd love to join, I'd love you to join and work with me more. So I have a couple of options. I have an online course, which is all about helping mums go from overwhelmed to in control. Now, it is a short course. It's got 8 videos in there, 8 exercises, most of which are 10 minutes or less. And 10% of the profits go to a charity that's really important to me called Freedom for Girls. And it helps girls that are suffering from period poverty. So girls who can't access sanitary wear. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, I do one-to-one coaching, and I've also got a business program. So it's called the Extraordinary Business Evolution, helping you to attract ideal clients, get visible online, and build a business you love. So I will pop a link in, or I'll ask Amanda to, for my Facebook page and my Instagram, and I would love to see you there.
Yes, thank you so much, Steph. I am just so honored and blessed that we get to share this space together. I definitely don't think it's any coincidence that we connected, and I'm just honored to be able to partner with you in working and helping women really become the best versions of themselves. So thank you for jumping on and sharing your tips with us. I will make sure that I pass along your Instagram and Facebook info, everything that you send along, so people can connect with you deeper. And I'm just so thankful we got to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for having me. Bye,
You're
everyone.
welcome. Bye.